Welcome back to episode 6 of The Core, where we are planting the seeds to financial success. I'm Colten Hibbs, Education Credit Union's Financial Health Coordinator, and today I am joined by Amy McClenny. Amy, tell us what your role here is at the credit union.
I am the Assistant Branch Manager of the AmTech branch.
Yes, you are. How long have you been with ECU?
5 years.
Oh, and all right, this is my favorite question to ask. So what is the best part about your job?
I love my particular job because I work with the interns at AISD.
The AISD interns, you say. Tell us more about that.
So we actually have a student-led branch, which is our AmTech location. And every year we hire juniors going into their senior year, and they intern at the branch.
And they shadow all departments, right? And they
Yes.
perform all the functions like a normal branch. So people can come and make deposits, withdrawals, all that fun stuff. There's also a loan officer there for those kind of transactions. But the students are there and working, and they aren't just interns, but they're paid interns, right? So
Absolutely.
They're getting that experience. They're making these connections as we network. We not only have AmTech interns, but we also have WT interns at our Buff Smart branch. And so, you're part of that chain of success, which is really, really awesome, and part of why I brought you here today. So our topic for today is taxes. So let's start with, why do taxes exist? It's tax season. Nobody likes taxes. So taxes. Why taxes? Why do taxes exist?
So taxes are really important to our community, our state, our government. They pay for roadways, highways, police departments, education,
Woo.
schools, all the things that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. And so part of my job is going into classrooms and schools, of course, and 5th grade TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, TEKS. Students are required to know the difference between property taxes, income taxes, and payroll taxes, things like that. And we always try to emphasize the importance of, knowing when you pay taxes, just like any transaction, you pay something, you get something back. That is my one thing I want to encourage everyone to know, is when you pay something, you get something back. And so firefighters who have saved us throughout this panhandle season, and it's just getting started, right? Our police officers, our mailmen, things we don't think about paying for. Well, the reason we don't have to think about it is because we pay taxes.
Yes.
And so for me, taxes, of course, and for public education, taxes are enormously important. And so I just like to get that out of the way. Now, that being said, of course, there's always some room to complain. And but I'm curious, does it really matter who a person files their taxes with? We're in tax season, so do you just take it to any preparer?
No, I would be very careful with who you file your taxes with, simply because you're giving your most personal financial information away. And so you want to make sure that the person that you file with understands that. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for your taxes, not who files them. So it's really important to be careful who you use.
Yes, absolutely. And are you getting the maximum benefit? Do they know, like, oh, since you have this, you should be claiming this credit, right? And that kind of knowing the ins and outs. Is filing taxes complicated?
It can be. The tax code is very complicated. It can be. So the average individual actually spends up to 13 hours preparing and filing their own taxes, and it could cost anywhere from $240 and up per person. So yes, it can be very complicated.
It can be complicated.
Yes.
It's the more financially diverse you are, investments you have, accounts that you have open, any dividends that you earn, businesses that you may have. It can get a little hairy. But what documents should a person have whenever they choose to file their taxes? Like, what should they come prepared with?
It's important to start with your driver's license and your social security card.
Yes.
Any form of W-2s that you might get from any and all employers, interest statements, anything that you get in the mail from the IRS is very important to bring with you.
Absolutely. Now, what are some tax myths that you've heard, and how true or untrue are they?
I think the most common myth would be, if I am paid in cash, I do not have to claim it on my tax return.
Wow. Okay. That's a new one for me.
Obviously, that is very false. If you were to get cash as income, or you're paid as cash, you have to file and claim every bit of that.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's because we receive services as a result of paying taxes. And if you're receiving those services but are not paying or filing your taxes, then you are receiving things that you haven't paid for, which in any other by any other definition, is less pleasant than just not filing your taxes, right?
Yes.
So yeah, tax myths can be kind of prevalent. And now I will say there's a valid question of why do I pay taxes at the store and pay taxes on my home and take taxes out of my paycheck? I'm just taxed out the wazoo. Why?
Well, everything that you're taxed on goes to different things, whether on a state, a local, a federal level. So like sales tax would be for like education. And then you have, Social Security, you have lots of different things. And if you need those services, you want to make sure that you're contributing as well.
Absolutely. And things like Medicare, right? Nobody knows when they're going to get sick, but when you reach a certain age or reach certain eligibility requirements, you want to be able to benefit from this thing you've paid into. And I would think my Nana would argue that it's death by a thousand cuts, right? So like I'm taxed here, I'm taxed there. But at the same time, rather than just writing one giant check every year and not necessarily those tiny little bits when you check out at the store, and if you own property taxes aren't paid directly, usually by people who don't own property, right? And so those little things, your gains, your enhancements in our progressive tax system, the more you earn, the possess, the more in taxes the more tax burden you have, generally speaking.
Yes.
But are there, speaking of tax burden, are there things that people can do to ease their tax burden?
Oh, yes. You can. There's several different options that you have depending on your situation, but using an HSA, health savings account, or retirement accounts, FSAs. There's lots of different ways to reduce that or to eliminate some of those taxes.
Well, so even charitable donations, right?
Yes.
Teachers can even write off up to $300 for whatever they use in their classroom and get that reimbursed to them. Teachers, take note. But yeah, so now I see this a lot on social media. And given my job going into classrooms here, there, and everywhere across the Panhandle, should they teach students how to prepare and file taxes in school?
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. So we actually partnered with AISD and have started the tax preparation with VITA.
Yes.
And the interns there have learned an incredible amount of knowledge, having learned about what taxes are, why we filed them, how to file them. It also goes into like budgeting and financial information for these young professionals as well that they can use in their future.
Absolutely. And so just to clarify and define a couple of things. So with AISD, Allowed Education Credit Union, we partnered with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and we went through their certification process through VITA, as you said, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. And so you and I both led this group of students to become certified through the IRS to prepare taxes, to gain this knowledge. And so now at AmTech, our members or anybody in the Texas Panhandle can make an appointment with a tax preparer, and then those taxes are reviewed before we submit them, of course, to the IRS. And it's official and it's free.
Yes.
And so every form that somebody brings when they file their taxes, every form has its own fee. Are we correct?
Yes.
And then, but filing with the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program here at AmTech, that enables people to, no matter how many forms they bring, it's free and it's accurate, and they can ask us questions and they can make sure, double check. We've had those people.
We've had several. Yes.
Yes. I tried preparing it myself, but I wanted to make sure it was right. And so we're able to provide that service for free to our community. That's just one of the other feathers in our cap. So yes, I agree that I wouldn't say that they should teach. I would say that they do. Not only through programs like this, because this program is nationwide at multiple schools and multiple community organizations. Panhandle Community Services also has people that are certified and others in our region. But also, as we've learned, whenever we prepare and if we have questions, we have documents that we can look up, irs.gov. If you want to know how to prepare your taxes or what all is there, I will say it is provided for you, maybe not in the most legible language, but it is certainly provided. It's very much in government legalese, but if you have the patience to suss it out, it's there.
Yes.
And so, I'm so proud of you and your leadership at AmTech and just what you've allowed these students to accomplish and how you've shepherded them through. I can't sing your praises enough.
Thank you.
Now, is there a way, because now we know the benefit of taxes and they pay for public education, police officers, firefighters, all the good stuff that we get to benefit from. Military, the way we get to protect ourselves as a nation comes from our tax dollars. But that being said, it's reasonable to criticize where our tax money goes. As a citizen, we have that freedom and that right. So can a person control where or have a say in what their tax dollars pay for, in your opinion, or with your knowledge?
Indirectly, yes.
And,
so
yeah.
if you exercise your right to vote,
Woo!
which you should, absolutely, then you just want to make sure that you align who you're voting with. Do your research, know who you're voting with, know what their budgets are, their proposals are, and see if that aligns with what you would like those to be spent on, and then vote for that person.
And it's an election year, right? We have local positions that are open. County commissioners, what is their job but assessing taxes and providing, and our tax assessor and collector, those positions are up for election this year, and they exist for the next 4 years. And so if you want to have a say in where your tax dollars go, maybe you know who locally is setting those dollar amounts or collecting those fees, and taking action with your vote. And that's one thing I really enjoy about how our system works, is that you do have a say, but you are one voice of many, and that's a really great and awesome thing. Amy, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You've been so insightful. We also appreciate you, our wonderful audience. Don't forget, you can catch us on the latest episode of The Core, either Wednesday on Spotify or YouTube. And with that, we'll see you next time on The Core.